I am Gina Ramsey. I'm the president of Pink Dog Digital. With me are Coral and Cory, who I'm going to largely defer to the best of my ability, to keep my mouth shut. But any of you that know me know that that is probably not going to happen. But we'll see where we go with this. I will let them introduce themselves in a minute. Please don't let us sit up here and be talking heads. Please interact in the Q&A. We don't need to wait until the end to do questions. We're more than happy to answer them as we go through. Additionally, we are recording. So if anybody has to step out for whatever reason, we will be sending out the recording after the fact. And for those of you that don't know, we are doing these monthly. If you would like to see the previously recorded webinars, you can go to our YouTube channel, which is visible on our website. And if you have a topic that you would be interested in hearing more about, please let us know. So with that, I will turn this over to Coral and Cory, let them introduce themselves and kick this thing off.
Good. Hi, I am Coral Norman, for those of you who don't know me. I am the director of digital media at Pink Dog. I handle the project management piece for websites and some of it for social media. And for those of you who know me, a number of other things, just kind of depends on the day. So excited to talk a little bit about reputation management, which is another piece that I really enjoy both talking about and handling. Cory?
Hey everyone, my name is Cory Wasielczyk. I am a digital media strategist at Pink Dog. I've been with the company for 2 years and I've been in digital marketing for 9 years now. I work as SEO, PPC, content creation, strategy. I kind of wear many hats at the agency, one of which being that I'm the resident AI evangelist. So I'm always looking for new ways to implement AI tools for both the agency and for our clients. And it's rapidly changing. It's every day, it's something new. So, yeah, I'm also looking forward to talking about online reputation management. I feel like it's one of the most undervalued parts of digital marketing. And I think if we paid more attention to it, a lot more companies would be in a lot better shape.
No doubt. All right, so as everyone's kind of filtering in here, Gina, is this the poll that you put together for us?
Yep. So
have you Googled your business recently?
And I am going to launch the poll.
Let's see.
Right, I have 6 of 7 people in. We'll go ahead and end it with that. Half and half weekly, half monthly. So I'm pretty excited for that. I would have expected some nevers in that. So good for you guys.
Yeah, Googling your business is very important. Obviously, the first line of defense is knowing what is actually happening out there and being able to see what people are saying about your business. So do keep in mind that when you're Googling your own business, if you're doing so from a browser that you use regularly, you're going to get some skewed results, just due to the way that Google's algorithm works. So it's always a good idea to try an incognito window. But you know, the good start, good first line of defense is to kind of see what's going on out there. All right. So we're going to go into why your online reputation matters. First of all, let's kind of cover what your online reputation is and what pieces it covers. It's going to be reviews, online chatter, what people are saying about you, but a lot of it is going to happen in reviews on Google, Yelp. You'll still see some on social media channels like Facebook, although those have largely fallen off. Most of the reviews that you're going to find now are obviously skewed towards Google reviews. And, if you know Google, they like their own products a lot. So the more Google reviews you've got going on, usually the better. So in a poll, nearly 93% of people have said that an online review impacted their purchase. That could be whether that is positively or negatively, but people are reading online reviews and they are using those to inform what they're going to purchase, whether they're going to purchase from you, and what their general opinion is of you in the marketplace. So it's critical to know that people are reading those.
Here's my first jump in.
I was waiting for it. I knew it wasn't going to take long.
Nope, definitely not. If you look at your reviews equate to 30 customers. So that's 30 customers who either are going to do business with you or 30 customers who are not going to do business with you. So that is a pretty significant number for most small businesses. And having a strategic plan for online reputation management could be the difference between winning or losing those 30 potential clients.
Yeah. People are using it as a trust signal and a brand validator to know, first of all, that your brand can be trusted and also that your brand is legitimate, because I think that's a big part of why people are looking at reviews, is to see if the brand is not only out there, but doing a good job. So you want to make sure that you kind of got both going on there, because that's what people are looking at. And the third really important part of this, and a lot of what we're talking about today, is that Google and AI are always watching. Google uses your reviews as a signal for rankings, and then AI is also using it as a signal, and we'll dive a little bit more into that. I'm sure Cory is going to have a lot to say on the AI piece. So definitely an interesting thing to know is that it's everywhere now. So those reviews matter.
Cory, do you have anything to add?
Yeah. So, I was doing some research with some of some of the studies that have been out there, and some of the numbers are very fascinating. According to Bright Local, 79% of consumers trust reviews as much as a personal recommendation. So it kind of lends credence to the idea that your online reviews are like an extension or a digital version of word of mouth. For trust signals, according to that same Bright Local survey, 40% of consumers will not trust a business that has under 4 stars. And according to Harvard, they did a study on Yelp businesses, and they found that a 1 star increase corresponded to a 5 to 9% lift in revenue for the business. So the online reputation is very important. Let's just put it that way.
One of the things that I would challenge all of you to do is Google your business plus reviews and see what comes up, especially in the AI overviews, and see if that sentiment is something that matches what you want people to see. We've also done some exercises where we've used AI to scan reviews for us and for our competitors to see how we compare against them, and if the tone and the sentiment coming up matches what our core values and beliefs are as a company. So I would challenge you to take a look at some of that information and see where you show up.
All right. So, and as we're talking about these review signals, Google is looking for specific things. We talked a little bit about that sentiment piece, which is going to matter a little bit more when we start talking about AI. But Google specifically, when we're talking SEO and talking rankings, Google is looking at some specific things. They're looking at quantity. You want to see how many rankings you have, or not rankings, I'm sorry, how many reviews that you have, and where those are scattered. So whether that is lots of reviews on Google, but maybe you have no reviews elsewhere, that's going to be problematic, especially if you're working for, if you have a law firm, wanting to have those AVO ratings, wanting to have places that are a little bit specialized is going to be important too. So quantity is not just going to be Google reviews. It's going to be reviews across the board. Frequency, if One thing that we see sometimes, people will try to push down a poor review and they'll have 20 people review them all at once. If Google sees that you suddenly have an influx of 25-star reviews with very similar type text, they're going to ding you for that because um, it's it clearly shows that you're trying to game the algorithm, and Google hates that. So you want to make sure that that kind of frequency with the reviews is happening at regular intervals. So if it's saying that you're getting like 2 to 3 reviews a month, they're kind of spread out, but they're happening regularly, that's going to be a good ranking sign. If as long as they're consistent and regular, that's good.
Yeah, not to mention that they will that automatically flags Google's automated systems, and in many cases, if you're trying to get a lot of reviews at a short time, they just won't publish many of them. Like they just won't. So
Or they'll
Yeah,
take your GBP down altogether, and that's also something you don't want to happen.
they're also looking at IP addresses. So, for instance, if you have a physical location and you're hitting everybody to review you from your same IP address in your lobby, and those are all coming in every single day, they're going to filter those. They're going to recognize what you're doing. So, a lot of people try and scam this system. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
Nope. No, Google is pretty good about knowing when it's being scammed. Like Corey mentioned, they have the automated processes, and then they're also going to, if it's flagged, on an automated basis, and even if you appeal it, if they look through it manually, they're still going to see that you're trying to game the system, and they're less likely to help. Uh, Sentiment's another important one. You obviously want more good reviews than poor reviews. Google will definitely downrank you as those poor reviews come in. That's one of those places where they say it's not necessarily a strong ranking factor, but knowing Google and knowing the businesses that are out there, they will ding you for poor reviews. Um, However, on the other side of that coin, you want some diversity in the reviews. If you have only 5-star reviews and you have 1,000, they're going to see that and know that the chances are that a lot of those are fake and they are once again being gamed. If you've got 3, 4, 5-star reviews, that's more likely that Google will look at that and say, hey, those are realistic reviews. That's something that people are, actually putting those reviews in rather than having people just spam a bunch of 5-star reviews to make sure that your average is up. And
plus
then, oh, go ahead.
from a consumer sentiment standpoint, even there are even studies that show that consumers sometimes are less likely to trust a business that has just all 5-star reviews than a business that
Yeah.
has anywhere between like 4.3 to 4.5. So
I definitely struggle with businesses that I see a lot of times that have all 5-star reviews because most of the time I'm like, well, it looks like they're only asking people who are going to give 5-star reviews. And I want to see an honest reflection of a product or a service. So I definitely know that that affects the way that I look at it. That's a good point. And then the other thing is response. Whether a review is good or bad does not matter. Well, more important if it's bad, but you still want to respond to the good reviews. Google looks to see if the business is responding, to see if they're active, and to see that they are taking care of their customers and the people who are leaving reviews. So you want to make sure that you are responding to every single review in a way that makes sense for that review, which I'll let Gina speak a little bit more to that here in a bit too, because how you respond to poor reviews is critical for customer sentiment and also in the eyes of Google. So you need to make sure that you're kind of balancing that one as well.
Also impacts your SEO big
Yeah.
time.
And I'd like to add one more review signal here, which I just recently found out, is recency. Recency also counts. So if you have a bunch of good reviews, but they were from a few years ago, that doesn't hold as much weight as if you have a bunch of reviews from just like the past year. It shows that your business is active, and that contributes to the I think what Google calls it the prominence factor when they do search results. But yeah, so you don't want to just rest on your laurels. You always want to be asking for reviews.
Yeah, definitely.
Agreed.
Does anyone have any questions real quick? If we can pause on the talking head situation, if anyone's got anything that they want to pop in the Q&A, raise your hand. Let us know if you've got anything that you needed to ask here so far. I will pop over to the next slide, but if anything comes in, we'll take a quick pause and be sure to answer. All right. Now for the part that Cory is definitely most excited about, which is where does AI come in when it comes to your reviews? The bots are everywhere and they are listening, which you probably already know, especially if you are doing any Googling at all. That first piece that you get is that, no-click search where you're looking at the AI responses. So you are going to see AI literally everywhere, all of the time. I feel like AI is the only thing that I get asked questions about right now, which makes sense because of how prominent it is. But one thing that's really critical to know is that bots can determine review sentiment and they can identify pain points and value adds for your business. And they are telling people about those. So anytime you've got those reviews, they're reading through those reviews, they're summarizing them, and they are picking out the most important parts of it in the bot's opinion, so to speak. So what it's programmed to do. But I'm also going to let Cory chime in a lot on this one because he is, as he mentioned, our AI evangelist. So he has a lot of good info here.
Yeah, well, I think a better way of thinking of it is not necessarily that an AI has an opinion, it's that it's just an aggregator. So it takes the information that's out there and it presents it to you. AI search is obviously it's getting huge between Google AI mode and Gemini and ChatGPT and Perplexity and all these tools. People are using these tools to make decisions. According to Harvard Business Review, this year, up to I don't know when it was, but 58% of consumers are trying AI for recommendations when they're making a purchase. And that's up from 25% just 2 years ago. And I actually have a personal story that I can share on this is that recently I was in the market for a new backpack because my backpack has been, used for 7 or 8 years and it's time to replace it with something because it's getting old. So I went in to Google search and I typed in laptop bags. It gives you a list of all the different bags that are out there. But if you're in the market for something, you tend to have preferences that you want. So I went to ChatGPT and I typed in, I'm looking for a backpack that can hold a 17-inch laptop, and that's good for travel. Please suggest for me, 5 of the best bags that are out there. And it will go out there and it will give you a list of the bags, how much they are, what they're good at, what people say about them that is bad, and you can kind of make purchasing decisions based off of that. And I actually did manage to find a backpack that fit everything that I wanted and was a decent enough price. So AI reputation really is just about how the large language models are going to describe you. And that's going to be based off of data that they pull from the web and increasingly data that they can pull from reviews. I mean, ChatGPT, we know, pulls from Google reviews. And of course, Google Gemini and AI mode is going to as well. So one of the things that one of the questions you might have is, well, how do I get mentioned in these? And I think that if you look at it, you want to have good reviews, obviously, but you also want those reviews to have information, keywords, describing your services, and that sort of thing. It's it's really important to obviously you're not going to be like standing over the screen of your customer while they're filling out a review, but any review that mentions the services that you've offered them is going to be good. And another way that you can try to influence this is through responses, which we will talk about, because responding to reviews, both positive and negative, is huge. I think something in the region of like customers are like 3.4 times more likely to choose a business that replies to reviews over ones that don't. Yeah, there's a lot out there for AI, and we're still learning, obviously. But that's kind of where we're at this point.
Yep. And I want to share something real quick. I just did an AI search since I've got Howard from Duck Doctor on here. I wanted to show this one real quick. Okay. So we're looking here and we're looking at what is the best duck cleaning service in Baltimore. And so what I'm seeing here are ones from, I'm seeing a lot of reviews that they searched from Angie, from Thumbtack. And a lot of the responses that I'm getting here are coming directly from, the review information. Perfect speed is your priority, 5.0 star rating. So what they're doing is pulling that information, bringing it in here, and then doing the top four. So unfortunately, right now, Howard's not in the top four. However, Duck Doctor does pop up down here and gives you a little bit more information of additional reliable choices. So it's not necessarily pulling that from a review. So we want to see a few more reviews there. There are, looks like some review sources in here, but it is pulling from Duck Doctor. So you want to make sure that you're getting those reviews because that's where it's going to start popping you up higher on this list for review situations. Although Howard said he's never heard of any of these, which is interesting because they have the good reviews. But, even as a duct cleaning service, he said he hasn't heard of them. So you want to make sure this is one of those places where you're going to start seeing people pop up who you may not have heard of because they have more reviews, because they have more information out there. So you want to keep those reviews up.
And that list is also very very useful to have because you see one name popping up on all of those, which is Angie. Right? So that gives you a clue. Like, okay, well, if I've focused my review efforts on Angie, then I can increase my ranking when a person searches for duct cleaning services on ChatGPT. So.
Yeah.
And I think this speaks to what we're seeing is a shift from organic search engine optimization to AI optimization. And you should be working with your marketing company to ensure that you are doing both because it is no longer one. It is two things that you need to be focusing on as you're trying to move up in both traditional search engines and the AI engines. It's not necessarily, sorry guys, the duck. It's not necessarily you can do one and hit both. You've got to do both in order to really maximize on that.
Yeah, and the other thing that Howard just pointed out is that Angie charges to be listed, which makes it a bit of a catch-22 because you are going to have to pay to be listed. So I guess it just kind of depends on the ROI there. But, knowing that ChatGPT is placing prominence on that, it's one of those things you have to kind of look at and see, weigh your options there and see if it's worth it. Especially as ChatGPT becomes more prominent for search. Not saying that Google is going anywhere. It's obviously not going away, but ChatGPT is definitely in there as one of the top search engines right now.
Yeah, it just really depends on what is going to be the most trusted review platform for your business. And as AI changes and evolves, it's kind of like the way that Google searches evolve. Like it kind of, you kind of know now what you're getting when you search something on Google. And so, we'll see what ends up happening in the future, whether Google ends up becoming the number one review platform for your business or Yelp or Bing, or it could be anything really, but just keep an eye on it.
And that's a great segue, Cory, into an exercise I was going to challenge everyone to do. And that is go out and see what your reviews look like across multiple platforms, because you could have a 5-star on Google and a 1-star on Yelp. And yes, I believe Yelp is the devil, but that's a conversation for another day. But you want to see how you're ranking, because if you've got a 1-star, you're going to want to try and do something about that, because each person has a different platform that they know, like, and trust. And if you're all over the place, AI is going to see that you're all over the place potential clients are going to see that you're all over the place, and you're going to want to create a strategy to ensure that your brand is represented across all of the major platforms in a way that you want people to see you. Just a note on Angie, it is virtually impossible for businesses like Howard to battle Angie in any kind of search because they're enormous and their budgets are millions and millions of dollars. But you can focus on the local guys that are competitively ranked with you and do things to impact that positioning. So do your homework or hire someone to do it, but you want to have a strategy across every platform, not just Google or not just Yelp. Don't ever have a Yelp strategy because it's a bad thing. And we can certainly talk to you about that, but do your homework and find out what you're up against.
We also have a question from an attendee. It's an anonymous question. Can you train AI tools to help you get found for what you want to be found for? Cory, I'm going to let you answer that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of what we've been talking about, right? You go on, you find the searches that you think people are using to get uh to get information about your business, and then you look at and see what's being listed and which sources the AI is pulling from. And then from that information, you can extrapolate, okay, so this is where I need to get seen with reviews, and this is where I need to focus my attention. Another thing you can do is just making sure that your website is optimized for AI. And there are strategies that you can use with the written content on your website in order to make it easier for AI to understand. So that's definitely another way that you can do that. But I think that the main strategy that I would use is to just do the searches, see who's being listed, and then check and see which sources are being pulled from, and then try to focus your efforts on that.
Yeah. You also want to make sure, to Cory's point about content, that your team is using structured data on the back end. So if you have a marketing company that's working on your website, working on blog articles, et cetera, make sure that they have the structured data implemented as well. That's important for SEO, also important for AI. So the more that is there, the easier it is for any of those bots to reach your website.
And also make sure that your website can actually be seen by AI tools, because we are seeing reports that certain hosting companies and DNS providers are starting to make it an opt-in for AI to use your content, which is bad. It's very bad. I mean, it's good if you want to protect your content from being used to train AI, but the point is we want to train AI to mention your business. So if your website can't be used, that's like the one of the biggest sources of authoritative information about your business. So,
And for those of you who are with us, we are on top of that at the moment because Cory is, like, as you mentioned, on top of the AI situation. So we are taking a close look at that on our end and making sure that our clients, we're doing the research. We're going to have a long conversation about this on Friday and see what options are out there to make sure that AI is able to see that. Gina, did you have any input there?
Nope, you guys can keep going.
Cool. All right. So some of the important stuff as far as what you can do to make sure that your online reputation is stellar and that there is that there is an online reputation at all. Stay in the loop. Make sure that you know, as Gina just mentioned, what your reputation looks like, where your reviews are. Do a search across platforms to see what your reviews look like. And the more you know, the better you can do. So that's always critical. Manage and improve your online reputation. You want to respond to every review, which we mentioned a few minutes ago, whether it is positive or negative. And knowing how to respond to reviews is really important, which I'm going to let Gina talk about a little bit.
Yeah. I get it. I own a business. You get a bad review. It feels like somebody told you your kid's ugly and you want to go to battle immediately. And that is the absolute wrong answer. You do not want to take this fight to the internet, it can ruin your business. There was a business in Scottsdale, Arizona, a bakery, and somebody posted a bad review, and within 30 days the business was closed because of how they answered the reviews to these particular people. If you ever want to have some fun, or at least in my idea of fun, it's probably not most normal people idea of fun, look at Amy's Bakery in Scottsdale and read some of the responses they had to their reviews. So when you get a bad review, and it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when it's going to happen, stop and breathe through it. Do the homework. Find out what the situation was. It may be legitimate, it may be not. And then be gracious and take it offline. Thank you for your feedback. We would like to use this as a teaching moment for our team. Please call me at blah, blah, blah. Get it offline. The more back and forth you have, the more arguments you have, AI is going to pick that up and it's going to give you a negative tone. So stop and breathe. If it's a positive review, thank you very much for your review. We appreciate it every single time. I cannot stress to you enough how important it is to acknowledge the positive as well as the negative. Something else that a lot of people do not know is that if you see reviews in a Google search, do not click on it. Go out to the platform and find the review in the platform. For example, Yelp. Don't click on a Yelp link. Every time you Google something and click on that link, you are telling Google that's the right answer. And they're going to continue to show that. So somebody had mentioned earlier about trying to bury the lead and push some of these reviews down. When you click on those reviews in that search engine results page, you are ensuring it is going to stay in that position or potentially higher. So there are some strategies that you need to employ when dealing with bad reviews, that if you need assistance, reach out to a professional before you do anything, because once that button's pushed, it can't be unpushed. Is that fair, guys?
Yep, 100%. Yeah, and making sure that the other thing you can do when you take that offline, because as Gina pointed out, it is critical to take that offline. If you can get a resolution to the issue, people can change their reviews. So they can change their review star number if they want to, and they can also edit their actual text. So if you have something where it's a 1-star review, it turns out to be a huge misunderstanding and you manage to make it right for the client, don't be afraid to ask them to go in and say, hey, would you mind updating the review? It would mean a lot to us since we work together to get this done. See if they'll update it, see if they'll edit it so that you can, salvage that situation. The other thing that you can do if the review is spam or if it's just something that's completely untrue, you can report it. Google will sometimes take it down if you report it. It depends on the situation. But there is the ability to report reviews if they are spammy or if they are just wholly incorrect. But you want to make sure that for the most part, you are focusing on responding first.
Yeah, and I get a lot of people that call me and say, can we take this review down?
No.
In general, the answer is no. Just assume the answer is no. Maybe if the person is violating one of Google's policies, if it's spam, if it's doxing, if it's, we have a client right now that's gotten doxed. We've been trying to get it taken down for 3 months. It's not coming down. So assume the answer is no until the answer is yes. And do everything in your power to mitigate what you've got to deal with versus hoping that Google's going to take it down.
So one of the other main things that you can do here is you can use monitoring tools so that you are not necessarily having to go out on a weekly basis and Google yourself. You're still going to want to do that somewhat regularly because there are more platforms all the time. There are more places that you are finding reviews all the time. But lots of monitoring tools offer you the option to connect a variety of um, platforms so that you can get all of your reviews kind of in one place and you can see what people are saying there. You can usually respond within those monitoring tools and get alerts if you're having reviews that are super low or even super high so that you can quickly go out there and respond to those reviews. This is once again the more you know type situation. So.
And there are some of those monitoring tools that are better than others. There are some in the marketplace that Google specifically frowns upon, because they give you the ability to manipulate what shows up on your website, where you can only show 4 and 5 stars. Most of them have that ability. To Coral and Cory's point before, authenticity is key. If somebody's seeing all 5-star reviews, they're going to be suspect. But some of these monitoring tools have already been flagged as bad. So make sure you do your investigation on those monitoring tools to make sure that they're not one of the ones that Google dislikes.
Now, for the record, our favorite one is Nice Job. It does a nice job of what it does. So, sorry, I have to do it at least once a day.
But I'm bummed.
Nice Job also lets you take care of this third bullet point, which is building a proactive review strategy. Allows you to do outreach so that anytime you have a client or a customer and you input their information, you can have an automated email cadence that goes out that says, hey, would you please review us? Here are the links for where you can do that. They don't do it the first time. You could set a second or a third email. You obviously don't want to spam people. You don't want to send them back to back to back, but having a proactive review strategy where you are asking people for reviews, especially the people that you know are happy, is a really good way to make sure those reviews are happening. A lot of times people are not going to just go out and review you unless they have had a super 5-star excellent experience or a super horrible, awful 1-star experience. So the more that you are asking for it, the more you are likely to actually get it. And I will say, so for, an example of this, there's a restaurant that I went to recently in Hunt Valley called the Mint Leaf. It's an Indian restaurant. Amazing. If you're in the area, I highly recommend it. But at the end of the meal, they have a QR code in their little credit card booklet for you to scan and leave a review. For me, that was like, oh, hey, it's right there. I'm thinking about it. I can do it right now. I'm going to scan the QR code. I'm going to leave the review. And they have a ton of excellent reviews online with pictures because people are sitting right there with their food, with the QR code. So they're much more likely to upload the photos. They're much more likely to give reviews. It's a really awesome way to have a proactive review strategy.
A caveat to this is whether it's a QR code or an email with a link, do not do this for Yelp. If Yelp even suspects that you are asking for reviews, they will filter those reviews from their results. There have been a number of class action lawsuits about this. It's just Yelp. And as I mentioned, the devil. So you may have a 1-star review on Yelp. You're going to need a very specific strategy, how to boost that without flagging Yelp's automated filters.
Google, however, will let you do this without flagging you, as long as it's clear that the reviews are real and recent. So especially those ones with photos are going to do well. So if you can have people do photos, if you're a type of service that it makes sense to do a before and after photo or anything like that, those tend to do well too. Cory, do you have any input on that one?
I have 2 points that I wanted to add. First off, this statistic, which was interesting to me, that 36% of consumers said they would be highly likely to leave a review if they initially had a negative experience that was turned into a very positive experience by the business fixing the issue. So that's an opportunity that you can keep in mind. You don't have to just limit your review collection efforts to just your best customers. And then the second thing that I wanted to bring up, which is important, is that you should never incentivize people to leave a review. That is
Great point. Excellent point.
it's strictly against Google's terms of service, and it will get you flagged. So don't offer gift cards for reviews. Don't offer, discounts and nothing. Just organically ask for reviews.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Thank you. All right. So we're gonna do the cute takeaways here, and then we're gonna move into Q&A as well. So if you have any questions while we're going through these key takeaways, please pop them in the Q&A. That way we can make sure that we're getting those answered as we finish up here. So top takeaways here, people are looking at your reviews. They care, they are paying attention, and they will choose whether to work with you or not a lot of times based on what they're seeing. As Cory pointed out earlier, they care almost just as much about what people are saying online as they care about what somebody next to them is saying who they've known and trusted their whole lives. So keep that in mind. Your online reputation feeds Google, feeds the LLMs and AI. So you want to make sure that your online reputation management strategy is on point because it is going to show up everywhere that people are searching. You should always know what your online reputation looks like. And you should focus on the 3 R's: request, respond, and review. So you want to request those reviews, you want to respond to those reviews, and you want to make sure that you are reviewing your reviews. So that's my main takeaways there. Cory and Gina, do you have anything else you wanted to add in?
Go ahead, Cory.
I think that pretty much covers everything that I would talk about. Just every so often, it's very helpful to Google your business, ask AI what they know about your business. That will give you key information that you can use about what consumers are thinking about your business. It's a great way to gauge consumer sentiment. So, other than that, everything is good.
I would also add on to that to do the same thing for your competitors.
Yeah,
Because if you
definitely.
find a consistent theme, right now I'm deciding whether to go from Xfinity to Verizon because I had a live line down in my backyard for 7 days. They kept telling me they were coming today between 1 and 6 and never showed up. If you see a consistent theme, terrible customer service, always late, blah, 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 those are things that you can address in your content on your website, in your social media. Guaranteed on time or 10% off your service call, whatever. See where your competitors are succeeding and failing and decide where you can be better than them at those items.
It's a great point.
So with that, we can go into some Q&A. I'm not seeing anything come up literally in the Q&A.
I did. April has a question. Is making a QR scan going directly to Google review a good idea?
Oh yeah. Anything that you can do to make the process painless and seamless is great. Google also offers a short link. So if you have a Google business profile, they will generate like a very short, like compressed link that you can then use in your email correspondence and a text message if you're using SMS marketing. Anything that you can do to make it easy will encourage the customer to do it.
Not only things like the check when you get at the restaurant, but if you're a service-based business going into someone's home, leaving something kitschy. Howard's got coasters, I think, that he leaves. Those kind of things, magnets for refrigerators, those kinds of things are game changers because people will do what you ask them to do. You just have to ask them to do it. Sending out emails, like anything you can do to make it an easy process will get customers to engage in the review process more frequently. Some businesses, we have a title company that their back end of the house system automatically has this available to them. They didn't know it. We went in, we found it, and we got it set up for them. So you may already have tools available to you that you're not aware of.
All right.
Any other questions?
Oh, also to Gina's point about the short code, or Corey's point about the short code. If you don't know where to find it, please feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help you figure that out and so that you can get that done.
Yeah. What about companies like Trustpilot? Trustpilot is one that is okay. They are not flagged. They're expensive, very expensive compared to some of the other tools out there. I would use AI to go out and search the best monitoring tools and their pricing so you can compare what you're getting for the dollars you're spending. Howard, on Monday, I received a fake negative Yelp review. I went onto Yelp. I know I shouldn't have clicked. It was my only second. I emailed the customer in Yelp. Again, Yelp is the devil. I could talk about Yelp for days. Some people still use Yelp. I don't know how much compared with the advent of AI. I think those review sites are probably gaining less and less popularity, but I would do everything in your power to respond to the customer, report it to Yelp as a fake review. But with all of these platforms, you need to look at who's saying what out there and try and address it to the best of your ability. Once you've addressed it, there's not much you can do other than perhaps find out if some of your existing clients are on Yelp and ask them to do a review. And I mean, once a month, like once a month. You cannot block people from leaving reviews on Yelp unless you take down your profile. If you do not have a profile, do not set up a profile. It is, Yelp is the Reddit of the review world. So just don't go there if you can't. The problem is Yelp has also set up some of these profiles and you can't take it down. The only thing that I think negative about taking down the profile is it may be perceived by Yelp users that you're trying to hide something. But again, I don't know how impactful Yelp is anymore. It's not even showing up in a lot of searches that I have seen of late. Does that help? Yeah, I could chat about Yelp and the lawsuits against them and the overall extortion they use for you to buy.
We can take it offline.
Yeah, we can definitely take this offline, Howard. But it's bad. Anybody else?
And thank you for all the questions, Howard. That was great. That was definitely helpful.
Yep. For those of you that would like a free, quick analysis of where you are showing in reviews compared and your competition, please feel free to reach out to one of us here today. We are all Cory, Coral, and Gina at Pink Dog Digital. We would be happy to help you through this process. Happy to make a recommendation for a platform that makes sense for your business. And you know, in the event you get that bad review, because you will, always feel free to call me and help and have me talk you off the ledge, because I'm happy to do that and help you respond in a way that is appropriate and not going to get you in any trouble. Any final thoughts, Cory and Coral?
Nope, I think we pretty much covered it on my end.
Oh, I'm good.
All right. Well, with that, we'll give you all 8 minutes of your day back. We will get this recorded. We will send it out. We appreciate your time today. Look for the next topic coming up in September. And I appreciate you all. Thank you very much for attending.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.